Welcome to the M4J Meet for Jobs podcast. I am your host, Xavier Humphrey, career and academic strategist for M4J Meet for Jobs. That's meaningful, engaging, experienced talent for jobs, where we provide solutions for your career and academic planning. I'd like to address an important question for those of you that are thinking about or maybe on the fence about career coaching. Does coaching actually work? I've been coaching and mentoring for some time now, and I could provide many examples on how coaching works. But I thought, why not bring a very special guest and business leader in her respective field with a leadership role currently at a global ed tech company, former client, and very focused, Melissa Alicea.
Mhm.
Welcome, Melissa.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you for having me, Xavier.
Did I say your name right?
You did. You
I
did.
did, didn't I?
You did.
Thank you for taking the time. I know this is a weekend for you, so I really appreciate it. It's very important that we hear your story. So, first of all, how are you?
Oh, I'm a little bit nervous. I've
Okay.
shared this before, but I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share my story, to support your podcast. So,
Well, try not to be so nervous. It's not a big deal. It's me, and it's all about you, and it's all about your story. So, I got my questions here. First, tell us a little about what you do and how you earned your current position.
oh gosh. Well, I initially applied for at that point, startup at tech company called Campus Logic. And that company got acquired by Ellucian. And at Ellucian, well, before the acquisition, I was a customer success manager
Hmm.
for ed tech products that support the financial aid office and
Can you
some
turn
enroll.
can you turn your volume up a little bit, if you can?
Does this make it better?
Yeah, that's a little better. That's fine. I can adjust it. No worries.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so I was a success manager for higher ed institutions that had purchased the products that the company owned. And the products mainly supported the financial aid office, and we had a couple that were for enrollment offices. And essentially, my role was to make sure that they understood how to use the software, that they saw value in it, that they improved their processes. And I had several accounts. And in that role, my main goal was not just to support my accounts, but to support my colleagues, support any leadership efforts around the company and their goals, and participating as much as I can in learning as much as I can about ed tech. Because before that, I mainly worked in a financial aid office in higher education most of my career. So through that exploration and networking and participating in extra projects, I showcased my ability to manage a lot of work and produce results in high quality. And I believe that allowed me to be offered the leadership position. I wasn't necessarily, I didn't apply for it. I didn't. They were aware that I wanted a leadership role and that I was ready for it when that opportunity came. And when it did, it kind of happened really fast. Like they knew that they wanted me and they sought it out and they advocated for me to obtain that role, despite, a lot of other members on the team maybe wanting to have had the opportunity, but were not given the opportunity to apply. So that was a bit of a challenging transition, or I thought it was, and it ended up not being. And I could probably speak a little bit to that, but I thought it was because I essentially was just handed the job. Not, I earned the job, but I didn't have to.
Yes, earned.
That's something I learned from you, Xavier. I wouldn't have necessarily said it that way, but yes, that's kind of how I ended up in leadership for the West Coast region of CSM, the CSM team for the company.
Okay. And so That leads me to the next question because you mentioned challenging. Tell me about the most difficult time in your career and how you got through it.
Oh
Now, this
my
could be
gosh.
here or anywhere else.
Yeah, honestly, I think that it was the first time that I managed a professional team. I was very young and I was very results driven. And as soon as I got the team and I was managing this team, I wanted to produce results. I wanted to create impact, positive change. And I really didn't take the time to get to know the team, connect with the team, build rapport with the team before I came in and like was just making changes. And I remember that being the most difficult time in my career because my direct supervisor did not approve of that, how I decided to kind of start that position. And so I wasn't aligned with my direct supervisor. My team wasn't really taking to me, and the feedback was hard. The feedback I was receiving was so hard to digest and like understand because I was like, but the changes I'm doing are so great and like the results are so great. Like I don't understand why my approach is not working. And it wasn't until another leader had basically given me like a prompt and said, before you enter any conversation or decide to make any change or provide any feedback to your team, like make sure that you're coming from a place of love. And I know that's like weird because in corporate America, using terms like love could be a little awkward. Um, but it made sense to me. It's like, am I trying to boss up or am I trying to, make an impact, like a good change that's for good for the team, good for whoever our customers are. So I grabbed onto that and I continued to, I feel like, connect more with the team and really make a difference. That when I did leave and went to ed tech, from higher education to ed tech, I feel that at that point the team was like, we're glad that at some point you were our leader.
Okay. So, my next question is you just mentioned a lot of different experiences that you had, and some sound good, some not so good.
Mm.
Do you feel that all of your experiences are meaningful?
I think so. Um, it's kind of hard because I battle between, man, I wish I would have known this sooner, and also knowing like the path that I took is probably why I'm doing so well now in my position where I was able to transition and into this role. Um, and the feedback that I've received is like you just hit the floor running. Like the team connected with you quickly, you build trust quickly with the team. And I probably wouldn't have been able to make this adjustment so quickly if I hadn't gone through all those steps. I also think about, man, I should have entered ed tech sooner, younger. Who knows where I would have been? I probably would have been a senior director at this point. Um, but also the experience having worked so many years in higher education, I'm able to, in this role, connect with our customers and be able to provide feedback to the team and say, having worked in higher ed, I feel like if you enter the conversation this way or you talk to this person in the office, you may get a little bit more traction or engagement. So I, I am coming to terms with like, yes, maybe every step I took in my career, even that time that I left higher ed and I did like maybe 1 or 2 years in uh, my own business, that helped, even though we've talked about this before. It worked when it worked, but it wasn't going to be the rest of my career. I wasn't going to be an entrepreneur forever. But it was it was a nice experience, and I did it for a little bit. So
So, your pathway
hmm
into ed tech, what would you recommend or what advice would you provide somebody that's looking to get into ed tech or tech because that's real popular now, right? People are
Mhm.
like, "Hey, how can I get into tech? How can I make the transition into tech? I'm doing this. It may not be relevant, which you were doing something that some may think that was not relevant, but you've sat here and explained all of the transferable skills that you've had that have
Right.
helped you. So what kind of advice would you provide?
I think in this position and going through the hiring process for my team, I think it's very important that you, in whatever role you are now, explore the tech that that company is using. And even if your current role doesn't allow you to make decisions or change or impact the technology that the company's using, I think it's a great start if you're interested in tech to go that route. I think also something I learned from you is like networking and meeting people in the industry is also very important. EdTech has a lot of different roles. You have your product team, your developers, your CSMs, your implementation team. There's so many different roles. So I felt that customer success was the best fit for me. I'm very interested in product development, but I am better suited for customer success. I get to work very closely with product development, but I think the first thing would be to understand all the different avenues that you can enter into ed tech with your specific skills. So, like if you're in retail and you're good at sales, there's an entire sales department for the company, right? And maybe that's your way into ed tech. And maybe even if you do enter into ed tech that way and you realize I'm not really excited about that, once you're in, I guess it's an opportunity for you to network within the company and maybe find a position within it that aligns more with what you want to pursue.
Let's say I've been working retail for 5 to 6 years, and I made my way up the ladder into to management, but I want to get into the tech field. You're saying there's a way I can transition by starting to network and explore more about.
Absolutely, absolutely, and even I would say I have a friend who's interested. She has a lot of experience in dental, and I know that there's entire obviously technology in the dental industry. So maybe entering directly into ed tech won't be as easy because there's not a lot of experience in higher ed. And obviously, the competition that would be applying for the role, they'll probably have some higher ed experience. So maybe entering into dental tech and then transition. If you're really passionate about educational technology, then that could be your way in because now you're coming in with tech career experience that you can then translate into and maybe taking that avenue into but definitely I think that there's always a way to sit down and evaluate the skills that you've learned, and also within your current role how what department can I work with to gain the experience I need to apply for or transition into this realm of in my career.
Okay, so understanding the industry that I'm currently in, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
retail or hospitality, food services, and understanding that there's most likely going to be software, right, that
Mm-hmm.
supports
Yep.
that industry. Then start doing my research there. This way, I'm coming in with industry knowledge, and then I have to learn the tech.
Yeah, and I feel like the most difficult part is translating. We get so stuck with the terminology that our industry uses that it's hard to translate that into a different industry that you may not be so familiar with. So I think that that was something also that took me some time to understand is translating my skills if I want to make a change, like a career change. And working with you allowed me to kind of see, oh, you did financial aid for so long, and in management, um, as an advisor, and I was like, I don't see how this translates into customer success, and so I think that that's maybe a challenging piece, but there's always opportunity
That
to do
is a
it.
challenging piece, and that is something that I've identified by mentoring so many people and coaching them over the years that they're in their current roles and they want to make a transition and they may not feel they can understand the terminology And that comes from not understanding the value in your current role and how meaningful it is,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what it is. And so you understand the value. You've just spoken about it. Sometimes when you start coaching someone, you have to make them see, because we can be treated bad on jobs sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
also our compensation is not this great, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have value. And if you're trying to move up, then you have to feel up
Mm-hmm.
yourself and you have to feel good about what it is that you're doing. Now, I'm going to transition a little bit with this question here. If you were not working for a global ed tech company, what career could you see yourself into? And this could be anything.
This may sound really funny, but I think it would be skincare, beauty industry. I think, I think I'm, I think that yes, I think that would be my answer,
Like
because
a s-
it's something that it's like a personal passion of mine, um, and I know that personally, if I'm passionate about the work that I do, and I have to have a like, that's just something also that I've learned is I have to be passionate for the work that if I'm not passionate, I'm not going to do a good job, and it's better for me to find another job that I'm excited to do and I want to be a part of and I believe in the vision and mission of the company, um, because then I'm going to do more, right? And you talked a little bit about like management and like moving up, and I feel like when you're passionate about the work that you do,
Mhm.
then you're going to do more and you're not going to feel like, of course compensation is very important and you should be paid what the value that you're bringing to the company, but sometimes even like you're so passionate about what you're doing, you do a little bit more and that gives you exposure and it shows leadership what you're capable of, and then those opportunities come. But if you're kind of there to just do your job, then and expect a promotion because you do your job well, and that's all you're willing to do unless you get paid more, you limit that chance or that exposure or that visibility with the leadership team.
Wow, I love that answer. All right, so for the last question, does coaching really work? Career coaching. A lot of people are on the fence about why should I have to pay
Mm.
for coaching? Does it really work and is it worth it? And what do you think?
I think it's absolutely worth it. I feel that I probably would have made better decisions while in college if I would have leveraged the career center more. I would have understand that the decisions I was making in college and how that translate to actual working in the field. Maybe even like understanding the importance of networking. And I didn't dive into those topics until afterwards. And at that point, it was mainly like working hard was mainly my philosophy. If I work hard, things are, it's just going to happen for me. And with career coaching, I realized I'm in control of my career and the decisions that I make and the effort that I put into doing the research and being prepared and understanding whatever industry I want to get into. It's not just about working hard, it's working smart, right? And the same time, I invest in taking classes in college, right? You kind of have to do the same in your career. It's always, there's always something to learn, right? It's not just learning how to do your current role. We should be learning more and more and best practices and interview skills. I think that that was a big thing during my experience being coached by you, because it's so uncomfortable speaking about yourself and knowing how to articulate your achievements in a way that the person who doesn't know you, that's interviewing you, can see how those achievements could impact the company that they work for and they're trying to hire for. Um, that was a big piece as well. And I think the other thing I learned a lot from coaching that for me was invaluable is that research part. I never really, I never really did it. I never like looked into, organizational charts and the different departments within a company. It was mainly just focused on like I want this job, I'm going to go for this job. But like understanding all the facets of the company that or the industry I'm trying to get into. So 100% best investment I've ever done. I'm still applying the skills and the things I learned from you. Still learning.
We all still learning. Yes, we are. Melissa, thank you so much. This information is so important. Meet for Jobs, MEET, meaningful, engaging, experience, talent. You've just pretty much covered all of those. Speaking about how meaningful your experiences have been and how you had to been engaging, and it demonstrates all of your talent
Thank you so
for
much,
a job,
Xavier.
right?
Thank you so
And
much
so
for
I
having me.
appreciate you coming on here and telling your story. And my hope is that there's some people out there in that position of transitioning, scared to transition, or they're transitioning and they feel like they're struggling. But you don't stop, you keep going. And so hopefully your story will inspire and keep people moving forward. Thank you so much for coming on. And I plan to have you back. We're going to do like maybe a panel type thing. We'll have a few people on here
Absolutely. That sounds
and
fun.
it'll be networking, right? We'll be networking and exchanging information. So have a great weekend
You too.
and continued success. I'm very, very proud of you.
Ah, thank you, Xavier. Thank you for
Bye
having
bye.
me.
Esto llevamos la vida.